Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for men and women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be spoken upon, such as relationships, health and wellness, personal development, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Start dating yourself. Start dating yourself. I mean, start doing things that you like. Don't wait for anybody, any company, set up a spa dates, go take yourself to the movies, celebrate Valentine's Day, self-care day, but really start, get a new hobby, learn a new skill, start doing things that, you're interested in, and really start cultivating a relationship with yourself.
Right. Spending that time with yourself, like you said.
I will caution you, though, once you go down this journey, it makes, getting with somebody much more difficult, because now, hey, listen, if I treat myself this good, you won't have to come to a certain level. Like, you can't bring anything less, because I do this for myself. So now you're going to have to come in at amazing, So,
right. But it's funny that you say that, because I remember when I think I was a teenager and I was to be around my grandmother, and my grandma, I was like, Grandma, you want no man? I haven't seen you with no man. She was like, girl, bye. And I didn't understand her at that time. I'm like, so she just want to be alone? So now, moving forward, now I'm a grown woman. I have been married. I have been divorced. And it's like, my peace is on 100. Okay. And if you come into my life and you even disturb my tree, I will cut you off in a heartbeat. And that goes for any and everybody. So I get it now with the old folks are saying, remember, like, you're like, what are they talking about? Now you have understanding to it, just context to it, because now I think sometimes you have to go through it to understand it.
Yeah. And relationships can be very rewarding.
Yes.
But as you start to care about you and your likes, it makes for a better relationship, because now like you said, what you want,
Right.
what you'll tolerate, what you won't tolerate, and you're okay with being alone. And
Right.
that's the thing. Like, so that's when you start to attract rather than chase, because when you're, again, it's either fear or love, right? When you have this overflowing abundance of love, it's like you're calling in other people who share or on that same energy frequency. But when you're in that lack energy, where you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm, getting old and I have to have a baby before, 40, and oh my God, I got to find someone before, I get 50. You're in that lack energy, and you're bringing in people who are vibrating lower because you're not loving on yourself. You're in a fear and a lack mindset where there are not enough resources out there. I got to hurry up and just pick anybody.
Right.
And that usually ends in a relationship that is toxic and not helpful.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback a little bit of what you're saying about, the transformation that you're going through, like leaving some things behind, leaving those old energy behind. Sometimes we have to be able to start to identify some things when they start happening. This is how, you get sharpened with your skills. Because sometimes, remember before, like, you didn't even realize, oh, that person was gaslighting me. And I didn't even know they was gaslighting me, right? So when you start to come to yourself, you start to spend time by yourself, and then you just start, maybe, I do this too, because it's this normal, when you can be way past the phase about the relationship, right? You no longer have no feelings for that person. You're good. But then you might reflect back on a situation, like, I didn't realize in that scenario, this is what's happening. So when you come to that place of having your aha moment of identifying things, I think it makes the transformation a lot easier as well, too. What are your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's good to go back and with the new information and kind of look over, but making sure you release it. Because if you keep it in there, then all this negativity is brewing in there, because then now you can get triggered, like, oh my God, I can't believe I allowed this. I can't believe, you're judging your old self with the new brain, and it's like, oh my God, how can I have been so naive? So it's important to when you have those epiphanies, to release it, because it has to go. Like, I'm at a different place now. I'm a different person now. I'm not the same person. I had to go through some of those lessons to get where I am. So
Right.
making sure that you're constantly moving forward and not staying stuck in the past, because that'll keep us down and depressed, and it'll keep us vibrating on a lower frequency. And when we're trying to call into our new husbands or our new wives.
Right.
So,
Or
and we want healthy ones. We don't want those ones. So we can't be focused on what they did back then. And we can't keep all that negative energy. So we have to kind of look at it, release it, ascend.
Absolutely. Because I always like to say, my favorite line is, your experience are your greatest teachers.
Yes.
I love to say that. But, and then like you said, you don't stay at that place, you move forward, but you know, you are aware of what happened. So now you can move forward in your life. So now that you're moving forward in your life and you're coming into this place of peace, right? And you're starting to trust yourself. I'm going to say this, and I know you probably can attest to this, right? When you start to like trust yourself a little bit more and you're getting the hang, there's always going to be some energy to come around to test you, I feel.
Always.
Wait.
I just want to see if you really changed. I just want to see if you really, strong enough to get to the next level.
Right. So I want to tell women, I want to encourage women, don't look down on those experiences, because that's also going to be a teacher for you, a teachable moment for you. I'm just going to share an example that I went through, and I felt so confident in this situation. And I believe when you feel confident and you trust in yourself, then you feel okay with the decision makings moving forward. So this is my little short story that I'm going to share about a dating experience. So long story short, somebody that I went to school with approached me, and after 20 years, I'm telling my age, and they had interest in me, right? And I'm like, okay. So the person they're saying all this stuff, and I'm just sitting back watching and observing, right? So when it's time for us to go on this date, no call, no show. Mm-hmm. Right. So then this person say, hey, I did try to reach out to you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt that, you did reach out. Even I know who's lying. I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt to do this all over again. So when it came, and I said, I'm going to fall back again. But I already knew, because I trusted myself. So when the second time came around, I know people saying, why you give a second chance? Because I just did. That was just my decision. And, don't battle me on that, because my decision. But I wanted to see something. So when the second time came around, there was an excuse. And then immediately off of that, I cut contact. And then the person reached out to me and was like, hey, such and such. I'm like, no, I'm good. See, they didn't know that part of me. So the reason why I'm saying this, continue to be nice, right? Be sweet, right? But just let them know you cannot take advantage of me. I set my boundaries. Mm-hmm. I do not allow people to treat me wrong twice. You know what I'm saying? Because like the first time, shame on you. The second time, shame on me. And then you don't get no third time. So I'm saying that so women can be in a position of just stop allowing anything. And then again, when you feel comfortable within you, and then your value and your self-esteem is building up, you just naturally you're not going to give me that's trash. And I'm not accepting that.
Exactly. And so being okay with not like, I'm okay by myself. You wanted to take me out. Like you I was over here fine, minding my business. And you can go ahead and do all this stuff and not show up twice. Right. No, ma'am. No, sir.
Right. And it's so funny because this person wasn't expecting that from me. So they kept reaching out to me. And I said, listen, respectfully, leave me alone. Oh, can you give me a chance for me to correct my wrongs? No, you don't get no second chance.
No, sir.
But I also believe, right? I believe that this was a recurrent habit for him. This was a habit that he was used to doing it. He used to, with his sweet words, he can get away whatever he wants. And I'm like, but not this one. Mm-hmm. Take it left.
Teach people how to treat you. Yep.
That part. Mm-hmm. Teach people how to treat you. And if they don't want to abide by that, you said something in the beginning that I love this. Stop forcing stuff. That's another thing too. That's the next step. Allow things to happen organically. And if it doesn't feel right for you, then it's okay for you to say, you know what? I can't move forward because it's something within you. You're not the one, and that can probably be your intuition. Sometimes I do want to say this. We do self-sabotage ourselves because, we're afraid of what might happen. And then, like you said before, something might trigger that happen and make you think about what happened before. And you don't want that to happen moving forward. But you got to also remember, ladies, everybody is different and every situation is different.
That's where that fear mindset comes in, right?
Yes.
Because we self-sabotage based on fear. Like, oh, I've seen this before. Let me go ahead and get in front of it, or block my feelings, or not be vulnerable because, this happened to me in the past and I fear that it's going to happen again. So let me go ahead and cut it off, or, make sure I don't get hurt. And that's
Right.
that fear.
Right. So now you hit the next thing I wanted to talk about, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, but also allowing yourself, you're being vulnerable, but you're feeling comfortable in that zone because I think you trust yourself. So I think it has to come to that stage of you trusting yourself in order to be vulnerable. I want to talk about that area because I know sometimes that can be a gray area and that can be a battle and a struggle.
Yes. So when you go through something that is emotionally challenging, there's going to be a lot of doubt. There's going to be a lot of fear. So making sure that you look at those wounds, that you look at that fear before getting into another relationship, making sure that you open your heart. And the way to do that is you have to let go. You have to release. And then we talked about release. So you have to make sure that you've released anything that might block you from being vulnerable again. And part of that is your healing journey, is taking accountability rather than saying what was done to me, woe was me, is here's what I allowed. Here are the things that I need to work on, and working on those things and being aware of those soft spots, being aware of those wounds so that when they start to arise, you know what they are and you can start to work on them. Even if you're in a relationship, like you don't have to be 100% healed before you move into a relationship, because again, remember, people are showing us reflections of ourselves and we get to see ourselves through the eyes of other people. So they're going to be some things that you just won't get to see until you're back in a relationship. Right. There's some wounds that you probably, get magnified when you're back in a relationship. And it's just about being open with your journey and saying, hey, I need to work on that, and being vulnerable enough to work with that and share with your partner, hey, I'm working on this. Be patient with me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I love that part, that last part that you said, be patient with me. That's you taking out the opportunity to tell the person what you need, and them having the capability of fulfilling that for you. And I want to say support is very imperative throughout this journey. So sometimes people may not have the family support. So this is why I want to encourage women, if you feel like I'm trying to get through this journey, but I can't go through it by myself, I want to stress, why is it so important, Prunella, to see a mental health counselor?
Well, a mental health counselor is not judgmental. They're not biased, and they can be that person to hold up that mirror to you so that you can start to see some of the areas that you need to work on, some of the thought traps, some of the cognitions that are, creating blockages for you living the life that you want to live. So, and it just helps to get that different perspective and learn and grow about, how to have a healthy relationship.
Right.
So mental health therapy is by far probably the best investment you can make in yourself, in your personal development.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And the last thing, excuse me, that I wanted to touch base on, it was right there at the tip of my tongue. I hate that. I hate those moments. I wanted to talk about conflict resolution. A lot of people are not strong in that area. So I want to let's talk about what conflict resolution may look like once you're in that journey of, like I said, being receptive to a lot of different things, and now you see things in a whole new hindsight, how can you put that into practice, into play moving forward?
So, there are some things to remember when you're in a dispute. One, when you're triggered, understand when you have a good relationship with yourself, you can understand what your triggers are, where those wounds are, where are your insecurities, be able to kind of do that self-evaluation so that when you get triggered, what this is about. But we're so reactive sometimes that we just kind of instantly start to react, and we don't take a step back and think. And a lot of times when we react, it's kind of like, toothpaste, right? Our words can be like toothpaste. Once they come out, you can't get it back in. You can never put that toothpaste back in. Once that toothpaste is out, you done said something hurtful. You can't take it back. And even if you apologize, your partner's still thinking about what you said, and it's hurtful.
Right.
So one thing to remember when you are feeling triggered is take a break, take a pause. Don't say anything. Just take some breaths, and it's okay to even ask, hey, you know what? Let's pick this up in a little bit because I need some time to figure this out. I need a minute.
Right.
If you can't muster up all those words because your heart is beating faster and you're very angry, just say, hey, give me a minute. Let's pick this up right now. Let's cool off, and then we'll talk about this. Give a specific time. You're going to come back to this issue and come back to it. It should be, 2-3 hours. Don't let it linger overnight. Don't, let it linger over week. Don't stop talking to the person for the entire week. But hey, give a specific time as to when you're going to come back and revisit this.
Right.
And then, when you revisit it, practice active listening. And active listening, a lot of times we just want to get our point across. We just want to win the argument. We want to win the battle. We want them to agree and say we are the king, queen, and that they are not, So when you actively listen, you're listening to understand your partner's way of thinking. You're listening to understand how they solve problems, how they think about things, and then how to move forward. What they interpreted incorrectly or correctly, so just making sure that you understand from their perspective and that you validate their emotions, whether you agree with or whether it was your intention. It made them feel, it landed the way it landed. It made them feel the way they felt, and that's okay. And when you validate the emotion, they finally get heard, because the argument keeps going because it raises and escalates because they don't feel heard, and they have to get louder. They have to get more aggressive because they don't feel heard. So when you validate their emotion, it tempers things down, and now we can have a good discussion. And then you can rebut after you've actively listened. Then give your perspective. Then you can talk about what ideas you have to heal and make amends. And then lastly, the last tip I have is to always seek to compromise. Either it's going to be a win-win or lose-lose. Either we both going to get something we want, or we both are going to get something we don't want.
Right.
But making sure that it's even, because when one person feels like, the other partner is always winning or getting what they need, then you get into power struggles. Power struggles. Yes. Thank you. And it's just not healthy for a relationship. Like a relationship, you guys want to work together. You want to be back on good terms. You want to be able to move and get things done. And it's not healthy to constantly be at odds. So.
Right. And power struggles, you kind of hit it on the head. See, I don't know this, but Prunella is coming back. And with the power struggle, we're going to talk about manipulation and manipulators. But again, like I said, that's a whole nother show. But I'm so happy you mentioned that, because a lot of people got issues in that areas. But again, I think a lot of the power struggles was just taught. especially from a man perspective, and how they view things, a head of household. And, sometimes they take that way out of context. But again, I'm not going to babble about that. That's a whole nother show topic. But everything you provided tonight, Prunella, I really appreciate you elaborating. I hope the ladies that's listening, this was helpful for you guys. And I just also want to reiterate too, everything that me and Miss Prunella just talked about, it's a process. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So what may look like for me in 5 years, it might look like for you in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? You really can't put a time limit, because that's one of the biggest questions that I get. Well, Lady K, how long does it take me to heal? However, it's going to take you long to heal. Whatever you got to work, you might have to work through some more stuff than the next person. But as long as you're willing, then, nothing can defeat you, nothing can stop you. And I just want to wish that on everybody's journey that they can get through. So I thank you so much, Prunella. So if the people wanted to reach out to you, or if they feel like they needed services, how can they contact you?
They can visit the website. My website is www.restorativefamilyservices.com. I also do a podcast similar to you, the Rise Station podcast. So you can add me to your playlist. After you finish watching Lady K, you can tune in to me and get your double dose of just wellness strategies, tips on mental well-being. And we're on most platforms: Apple, Spotify, Libsyn, Google, Amazon. So
awesome. Thank you so much for Prunella. Again, I appreciate you. Ladies, I hope you took a lot of notes. Like Prunella said, after you jump off this podcast, you can listen to her, because you might want more. You might be like, you know what? I need to get right on this journey. And that's a wonderful thing. So I want you guys to tell me in the comments whether it's helpful. I want you to like this. I want you to share this. And I want you to share this and subscribe. So thank you, everyone, for tuning with me tonight at 6 p.m. Join me next week at 6 p.m. And you can continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat podcast, here on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all those other platforms. So everyone, thank you so much. And Miss Prunella, thank you.
thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Lady K.